Hey everyone, Daniel here, and I'm at NC Comicon Oak City, and I am at the IDW booth with David Hedgecock, the new editor, well, recently promoted to editor-in-chief of IDW, and also editor on most, if not all, the Hasbro books. Am I correct?
Outside of Hasbro and G.I. Joe, I'm editing most of the Hasbro books, yeah. So M.A.S.K, Micronauts.
Outside of Hasbro and G.I. Joe?
Outside of Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
M.A.S.K, Micronauts, the new Micronauts.
Yeah. ROM.
Yeah. Revolutionaries.
Yes. So. Yeah, and the Revolution event itself.
Yeah.
So first off, let's talk about that. Revolution. Big to do. Mostly seems to me mostly received well, except for like the people who just like hate change. Like. Because I frequent the Transformers message board,
so
I know
were they complaining?
Some people, but I mean,
people didn't want peanut butter in their chocolate.
But the most sensible people, like the kind of people that I hang around with, they were very they loved it. Like that's the thing. Like even those who I knew were like super hesitant, they like loved it by the end. So.
Well, that's glad to hear.
So getting into my question, I was like. That was an IDW idea, right? Not something that Hasbro forced on you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It so happened to coincide with some ideas that Hasbro was doing around their movie universe at around the same time. But we actually had the idea, put the idea together, and presented it to Hasbro before they actually were talking about doing the same thing with their movie universe. So it just sort of like everybody was having the same ideas at the same time, I think.
Yeah.
I think it made it easier for us to do a shared universe, though, because they were starting to think about it themselves.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So when you have all these new properties that are getting folded into a pre-existing one like Transformers, how did you guys go about like navigating like how to fit everything together into the previously established Transformers and G.I. Joe books?
Yeah, I think the thing that we wanted to be the most careful of was not to dismiss anything that had happened before, So it was a matter of like looking at what we had done in the past with all of our G.I. Joe and Transformer comic books, and then finding those things that made the most sense to kind of put together, so we weren't intentionally creating this big tapestry to weave together, but when we looked at it in all its parts, it's like, oh, well, those two things tie together really well, and these things over here tie together really well. And then once we started doing it, it was like, oh, well, gosh, in actuality, we've got some really interesting pieces here that we've been building up over the course of many years, especially in Transformers, that we can now actually pay off that make sense in this shared universe. So I think it was just a matter of like looking at the material and then being really respectful of it and really respectful of the fans who've been so great to us for the past 6 years working on all these properties. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much. So for you as an editor, having to kind of guide these all these different things. How important is it for yourself to have sort of that the pre-existing like knowledge of like things like M.A.S.K or Micronauts that have had these kinds of that have these fan bases that are relatively small but are very passionate about the original.
Yeah, it was a really deep dive for me. I had just come off we had just put together the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle board game, and we had run a big Kickstarter for that. So I'd just come off that big project, and so I had actually been working in the games division for like 6 months, putting that project together and putting that game together. So then, coming off of that, we were jumping into Revolution, and it was kind of like it was becoming pretty obvious that I was going to be running that whole project, and so. I've been reading the Transformers books and some of the other stuff we had been doing, but just as a casual fan like everybody else, not like trying to really like put it all into my memory and know it all. So yeah, it was a deep dive. Like I had to go back and read all the Transformer books. I had to go back and read all the G.I. Joe books, even like some of the Pro stuff that we had tried. We went in and I watched every episode of M.A.S.K, you know?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's just,
watched every episode of M.A.S.K.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
And then even properties that we knew we weren't going to be dealing with, and went back in and like looked at all that. And then not only that, but go back and like looked at all the toys, you know, looked all the read all the old G.I. Joe, you know,
The old file cards. Yeah, the
you
old
know, and
Larry Hama stuff.
yeah, all that stuff, just so you can just know what's happening and just have at least a general sense of what could be possible. The nice thing about my position was that we had a guy named John Barber who writes Optimus Prime now, and he wrote Transformers previously. He's been around and he's been involved with
Click here to see the interview.
Okay. He's been involved with most of the Hasbro properties for the last 5 years. So he's got encyclopedic knowledge of this stuff. So whenever I would falter and, you know, or maybe not remember something exactly, John was there to kind of like, you know, oh, that's sweet, David. Yeah, don't worry, I got it. It was actually, you know, Optimus Prime in issue 32 who said, you know, X, Y, and Z. Oh, okay. So we had the benefit of like this guy who just has an encyclopedic knowledge of all this stuff. So, yeah, it was a deep dive. It was a lot of studying for sure. I was up late every night for a solid month, like catching up. You know.
Yeah. So, as a Transformers fan, one of the things that I've always been, one of the things I really loved about the early Furman days was the spotlights,
Yeah.
and of course now that you have this whole universe, is is there any chance that we might be able to see the return of spotlights,
Yeah.
for Transformers or for the, even for other properties?
Without spoiling anything, 2018 is going to be a big year for Transformers for us, and I think that we're going to be doing a lot of, in addition to like the core books that we've got, you know, Optimus Prime and Lost Light, which are two books that I think have a really, Until R1, those are books that we've got this really great, solid fan base on, and we want to keep servicing the people that love those books and keep those things fresh. But we also want to do things to try to find new Transformer readers, like, or maybe lapsed Transformer readers. So 2018 is going to be a lot about that sort of thing. So what you're suggesting will absolutely be happening in some way, shape, or form. There's going to be way more Transformers coming forward as we move into the second part of this year and into 2018. So absolutely, yes.
So yeah, and see, I back when with Spotlights, I feel like that was also a good a place where we got to see a lot of new talent, especially in the art department, get tested. So that's another reason I definitely would love to.
Yeah, you know, it's really hard to find guys that can draw robots really well. Like, surprisingly, like, I don't know why that seems like to be a hard thing to find.
I always thought it was hard to draw people really well.
Well, there's that too.
Simple. It's like block.
Yeah, well, it's a constant challenge to find people that can draw the Transformer books, that can handle the grind that it takes to like sit down and draw page after page of Transformers, because it really is the technical skill involved to draw those books is really high, and there's only a few people that can really do it and do it well. We've been really lucky with some of the talent that we've brought in over the last year, like Priscilla and Kay and some of the other people that have been on board. So, but we're always looking for more. And yes, absolutely, I think as we move forward, we still need to find new and fresh voices. I think that's always something that is great about comic books, you know, like those new, fresh voices, those new creators, while still obviously keeping all the great talent that we've already got.
Oh yeah, definitely.
John and James and Kay and Andrew Griffith and Alex Milne and, you know, all these guys who are just, you know, amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone wants to, not see James do something to break our hearts with another issue of Lost Light, like he does every month. Every month. Does something.
I just read issue 3. Is issue 3 out for in the stores yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I just read issue 3, and it's like there was a bit in there with Megatron, which has got to be one of my absolute favorite moments in a Transformer comic, like I think ever. and I don't even know if if James meant to do what he did. I don't know if he's actually going to even go the direction that I think he might be going. But if he takes Megatron in the direction that came to mind when I was reading, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait for the next issue of this book. Like, please let this be the right. But I don't want to tell James because I want him to just do however he's going to do it, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm totally geeking out on that book right now. Absolutely.
Lost Light is consistently great. I mean, you guys have really cultivated a great, great team.
I'm so excited with Jack Lawrence's art on that book.
Like Jack, especially because I feel like there were a lot of fans who were nervous to see that Alex Milne to not have him on there because he's been drawing the book so much. But Jack has just come in; he's just been phenomenal, and him and James have just.
And if you don't know Jack's history, if you don't know Jack's history, like he's a hardcore fan. Like he was born, he's been dying for this opportunity for years and years and years. And so I'm so happy to see him just like grabbing the bull by the horns and just like making that book his own, and all the little cool details that he's bringing to Lost Light. I hope the fans like it as much as I do. I've been a fan of Jack's for years and years and years, and to see him just like do Lost Light the way he's doing it, like who wants to follow Alex Milne, right? That guy's amazing. But I feel like Jack's doing it. I feel like he's like making his own. It's good to hear from a Transformer.
Yeah, hardcore. And you guys also have the IDW or the Hasbro source book, the Hasbro Universe source book coming out soon. Which I feel like, I'll be honest, missed opportunity to call it the Hasbro Heroes Handbook, because that's like,
what I wanted to call it was the Hasbro Universe Handbook, so it's spelled out H-U-H. But we couldn't do that. So we ended up with Hasbro Heroes Source Book.
But now, tell me what's the process of that been like? Is it going to include like reprints of the profiles that were included in Revolution?
A couple of those, you'll see some of those that came out of Revolution, but a ton of new ones. And we've also got some really cool stuff, like we're going to see the schematic of the G.I. Joe headquarters, which is actually Nemesis, right?
Yeah, the new series. Which, if you're not reading the new series, read the new G.I. Joe. It's amazing.
It is really good.
That's the thing. It's like that's like I was never a huge Joe fan, but it's like that book like hooked me from like issue 1.
Yeah.
It's like,
Aubrey Sitterson is a really good writer, and he's doing some great stuff with G.I. Joe. I'm really happy. And Milo is drawing the heck out of it too. Yeah, really happy with that book too. I feel like I was such a huge fan of the cartoon of G.I. Joe, and I feel like with the IDW versions of G.I. Joe that we got, they were often really military heavy, sort of like militaristic kind of
Chuckles
books.
shooting Cobra Commander through the
Yeah,
head. Which I mean is a good. It's a great thing when it like happens in the book, but it's also very different from.
Yeah, I want laser guns. I just want laser guns, and now we've got laser guns again. So I'm kind of excited for that book. Just it's closer to the type of G.I. Joe book that I want to see, and I'm hoping fans seem to be enjoying it. So hopefully that continues.
Yeah. Definitely.
What else do we have in that book? We've got fun little like 4-pagers in the back of the source book. Like one is like rock and roll is the roadie for Julio Lopez's rock band, like so it's M.A.S.K meets G.I. Joe.
And he like hung out with Jim. I think was another thing. Which,
we've got.
Although Jim's place in the universe is kind of fuzzy, it's the Jim from the Jim books, but it's also not. So it's like
Jim's a tough one because we didn't want the fans of Jim to feel like they weren't included. So Jim is part of the Hasbro universe. So like Soundwave absolutely listens to or plays the cassettes or whatever of Jim and the holograms, and you'll see like rock and roll from G.I. Joe wearing a Jim and Holograms t-shirt, but you're probably not going to see somebody in the Jim comic book in the Jim
Decepticons
anytime soon. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Maybe, I don't know. They're absolutely part of that universe, but we keep it
Yeah,
we're keeping it like a little more separate, just because Jim feels like it needs to be that right now.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. You know, I don't feel like it needs to be, you know, like it needs to be a Jim Revolution where they team up.
Yeah,
with,
it just like,
Aileron
it doesn't
and all
feel right. Like
that.
Kelly,
Really, if you do that, that would be awesome.
Kelly's
I'll
got
take story
her.
credit.
All right, noted.
Yeah, you all watch it. Last question. Adventure Team book. When?
Avenger Team book?
Adventure Team.
Oh, Adventure Team.
No.
Adventure Team. You're
No,
not the
we all
first
know
person
the
that's asked me
Avengers.
that.
No, we all know the Avengers got killed during All Hell Megatron.
That's
That
right.
is canon.
Well, if you're into the Adventure Team, if you read Revolutionaries, right? Because
Yes.
Revolutionaries is absolutely setting up all the original members of the Adventure Team, and really the Revolutionaries, you know, with Cup and Action Man and Mayday. I mean, that is kind of the new Adventure Team for us right now. But yeah, like we've had some conversations about that. I can't say much more. There's it's a really interesting idea.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much for talking with me, David. It was great talking
Thanks
with you.
for having me.
From Oak City, Daniel Adkins. Peace out.
See you later.